somebody who finds that one of your patellas is moving into internal knee rotation, a lot of the time that can happen because our structure is tipping off balance. I'll show you a few reasons for that. Even just simply standing as I am here, you'll notice that I'm externally rotating into one foot, causing a collapse into one side. I'm actually popping my hips here, meaning that one hip is dropping down, one side is lifting up, causing an imbalance and irritation into the spine. If our hips are out of alignment, our nervous system doesn't really feel very safe, therefore we can become very, very rigid upstream. What's also happening, of course, if I am somewhat extended out on one side, I'm going to develop adhesions on one side of the body because the tower is falling down. What's also happening here is generally with a collapse, I'm falling in, I have a flat tire on one side of my body, right? You can see that this knee is completely off alignment here. My other one is kind of pushing out. But the knee joint's a hinge joint, so what's going to happen over time is the patella will start to migrate inwards and we're going to end up with either pain on either side of the patella. We're also going to start to flatten out in the foot muscles and we're going to have a structural problem. So what I see constantly is in most people, it's generally one side that is tipping inwards. We want to help create space in the joints and then realign the joints through strength. So the first thing to do would be, of course, to release your fascia using the quad rolling technique, also rolling out your calves and rolling out your feet, and I'll pop the link to that down below. Always start with that first so that you can start to get electricity, heat, blood and oxygen into your cells to create the space before we realign the joints. No point strengthening a tower that's falling down. We want to start to work within those adhesions to get into those really tight, deep fascia that has migrated there and attached to the bone of years and years and years of postural imbalances, and start to work on that first to create the space and then do these strength-based movements. If I demonstrate first what anatomical position looks like, our feet are underneath our hips. I'm on the tripod of the foot, so the two balls of the foot and the heel, right? You can see here moving up the body that my knees are in alignment with my feet. The moment I hyperextend, you can see that they immediately rotate and the angle of my knee joint falls on the inside or the medial side of my foot. Now, that's not the only issue that's happening here. As I said, the knee is a hinge joint. If you have a look at my hips, I have now gone into a big anterior tilt, really extending my psoas muscles, putting a lot of pressure on this psoas and my quads and my hamstrings, but more so my lower back is going to cop it. This also tilts my body into quite a forward posture. Now, a lot of our shoes, I don't wear modern day shoes, I wear very flat martial arts shoes or barefoot where I can, will actually be on a ramp. Now, our walking gait, our walking posture is heel, ball of the foot, toes. If I'm running, it's going to look a little different and I'm going to be more in a forward tilt. So having a heel on your shoe when you are running makes a little bit more sense than walking. For most people, they are already hyperextended because they sit into chairs, they're locking out their knees, then they're on a ramp, which is then going to cause more of this. So it's no wonder we end up with such back pain because we're constantly in extension. I hope that's making sense so far. So we really want to bring our body back to its nature. You can see the nature of my foot is the heel and the ball of the foot is on the ground. So when I soften my knees, what happens to my pelvis is now goes from an anterior tilt into a neutral alignment. My pelvis lands underneath my rib cage, which gives space for the diaphragm to breathe. The shoulders are back, the thumbs are forward, and every single joint in my body right here is at home, meaning that the body can do its thing. It's kind of like your Tupperware drawer at home or your garage. If any of that is out of place, you're going to spend a lot of time looking for it because you don't know where anything is. Our joints are the same. So if the patella is constantly out of alignment and tipping inwards, it's going to become really unhappy. And all of the cells that are in and around that area are going to balloon and inflame. But not only that, you're going to develop adhesions, which is pretty much fascia. without the elastin component, and it adheres to the bone with a 20-pound force per square inch grab and a hold to try to pull the body back into place, and that's not what we want. So it's really important to specify why we're experiencing pain and what the body has learned and why we've been doing these things for so many years and how the fascia has molded to now create what is here in front of you. Do not judge what you find, do not get cranky with it. It has just learned from us in our very tech-based, forward-based environment, and of course with all those shoes that lift us up, the body has just learned based on what we've practiced. So be gentle with yourself is the first rule here. We're going to share 3 things now today. As I said, please make sure you roll your fascia first and move into some fascia decompression and some joint work and joint flow before doing this strength work. It is really important. So we want to try to bring the body back home, get the joints back to where they are. As I said, most people I'm working with are collapsed inwards and in hyperextension, so we are going to focus on strengthening the knee joint today. Firstly, what I would like you to do to wake up the glute medius, which can become inhibited if our hips are out of alignment. The brain can switch on and off muscles as it pleases if the body doesn't feel safe. So a lot of the time we end up with one glute that's not firing because we're here like this. So we're going to wake up the glutes by popping on some sort of a band just above your knees. And we're going to sit into a chair a little bit here. So I'm sticking my bum out and I'm in a little bit of a squat. The band naturally wants to pull my knees in. However, the knee's a hinge joint. We need to honor the nature of the joint. Come into the heels, stick your bum out, and take a big step and then a little step. A big step and then a little step, and maybe take 4 or 5 depending on the space you have. And then we're going to take it back. Now this is a really nice way just to create some fire into the glutes and start to fill. So I'd recommend doing probably about a minute of that, okay? Next, what we're going to do here is make sure, again, you keep the band on, the knee over the ankle or on the tripod of the foot. So the toes are spread and splayed, I'm in the ball of the foot and then also the heel. I'm going to step this foot back a little bit because if I'm on a box, then I'm going to turn my hip out 45 degrees. From here, keeping that left knee bent, I'm just going to try to balance and hold for 3, 2, 1, place the toe back down. I'm not squatting a lot into that left leg. I'm absolutely activating and turning on my quad here. So we're trying to train the body to soften our knees when we're standing. So it's just a small, soft knee bend, which turns on the VMO, the vastus medialis, your quad muscle. And again, it creates that whole structure of alignment from the feet up. Let's do the other side. So we're going to soften that standing knee. All right, so from here, quad turns on, tripod of the foot. All right, back foot out, hip rotated 45 degrees. Keep the knee bent, we lift and hold 3, 2, 1, and we tap back down. Making sure this knee is not rolling inwards or collapsing at any point, so I do recommend doing this in front of a mirror. By this stage, you should absolutely feel those glutes start to fire, which is exactly what we're after. My weight is in my heel, not my toes. Last one here, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, now that the glutes are hopefully a little bit warm, we're going to move to a yoga block. Now, I share with you guys balance beams that I actually sell in the studio, but these soft yoga blocks are perfect for anybody practicing at home. So you're going to grab yourself a yoga block and you're going to grab yourself some sort of a ball, all right? So when you're coming into this one, it doesn't matter what you've got. I've got a juggling ball. They're great to use because they're a little bit heavy. You can grab them with your hands. You can also rest them on the back of your hands. And what we're going to do here is we now start to strengthen the muscles in the foot, fire the muscles in the quad, fire the muscles in the glute, and we get all this organic movement in our hip here. So you can see here, I'm not hyperextending and we're trying to train that knee to bend to the quad to turn on. So the knee is bent, which supports that patella. All right, again, if we, just to clarify here, if I straighten my legs into this position here, you'll see that that patella is collapsing inwards. So if I don't have my quad on, all of my body weight is going to be falling down and collapsing into my patella, and it's going to cause chaos onto that patella because I don't have any energy into the quad to turn that on. So soft knee bend, toes spread splayed, quad on, and we're going to just pause here, and we're just going to do these tiny, tiny little throws with the ball. So I'm keeping the knee soft, not hyperextending, and I'm just gonna do a tiny little pass of that ball, nothing too crazy. Toes spread and splayed, and you'll see my hip here is really organically just doing its thing. I'm not directing the hip to do anything at all. The task is to simply throw the ball. Now, if I want to make this a bit more challenging, I can throw it a little bit higher or play around with a bit of twisting here, which is great for our spines, but just work towards that. If you're new to this, this will feel really odd, and we don't want the nervous system to jump on. So that's movement number one. Obviously, we'll do the right and the left side, making sure you're balancing that out. Movement number two is we come onto the block or the balance beam. And again, this is a movement designed to help strengthen the quad, to lift off the patella and support the joint. All right, we're going to balance something on the back of our hand. That's why a juggling ball is quite good. You can use whatever you like here. And what I'm going to think about doing is just holding here, and we're going to just start to move that ball. So I'm going ridiculously slowly here, and there's a beautiful twisting that now happens with the torso. My intention is to keep my whole body light and soft. My fingers are soft, my shoulders are soft, and I'm diaphragmatic breathing the whole time. Now, this is where you can start to move through a bit of strength by keeping the quad on. You can bend and hinge and extend. Now, to make it harder, I'm going to look and I'm going to follow that ball with my gaze. Now, a minute of that, I'm getting some really nice heat in my glute medius, in my quad, and this delicious hip move, but also this really organic three-dimensional spinal movement. Movement number three, we come back to the band. Now with this one, you can always go back to that walk we did before if this movement feels too much, or we're going to find a wall and come into a wall step. So my heels are away from the wall, I'm placing my sacrum on the wall, and then every vertebrae here. Now from here, what I want to do is we're going to think about an abduction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push those knees away and then let them come back in. It's a really minor movement here. So we're pushing the knees apart and pause, and then letting them come back in without collapsing the knee joint in. So gently push away, you'll feel the arches in your feet lift here, and then let the band come back in. Keep it nice and minimal here. You can also do this in a glute bridge position, which I'll demonstrate as well, but just working through 10 really slow here of an abduction, so pushing away from the body and then slowly back in. If for whatever reason that doesn't work for you, you can come down onto the ground like this, push through those heels, all right, and we're going to lift up into a bridge position and again push those knees apart, and then we pull them back in. Now you can come all the way down to the ground and do that again, or you can stay up in this position, pushing that band apart. I prefer to stay up like this. I like the energy in my glutes and in my hamstrings, just pushing that band apart for about 10 repetitions, really nice and slow. So there's a couple of things that you can do to strengthen in and around the patella if you're somebody that notices that that knee joint is collapsing inwards. Generally it's on one side more than the other. I'd love to hear how you go. Don't rush it, keep it nice and simple, never overdo, and always look after your fascia first.